Welcome to Westeros, where the fight for the kingdom is on.
Anyone can die.
I choose violence.
Where great families live and die for the Iron Throne.
They're all weaving these tangled webs.
Some are noble,
Jon Snow's everybody's hero.
some are not.
If you're going to be bad, be really bad.
I want my crown! So many kings and queens in waiting,
It's about power and greed.
but an icy foe may well defeat them all.
When's it start?
Season 7 is coming, and so are the dragons. So let's burn through the epic saga to date.
This is what Game of Thrones does. It sucks you in.
With Game of Thrones, the story so far.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground.
As Season 1 opens, it's the calm before the storm. King Robert Baratheon rules from the capital, King's Landing, but his days are numbered.
To be king in Westeros, you sit on the Iron Throne in King's Landing and you're ruling over the Seven Kingdoms.
Start the damn joust before I piss myself.
He is locked in a loveless marriage and only chose his queen for her family's name to hold his kingdom together.
I'm very sympathetic to Cersei. She was completely in love with him. She was in awe of him almost. And he turned into this almost semi-abusive drunk.
Sometimes I don't know what holds it together.
Our marriage.
This unhappy couple have 3 golden-haired children to their name. But Cersei keeps a deadly secret from Robert. The children are not his. The truth will be discovered on a royal trip north, and it's here that our story really begins. The king has asked his old ally Ned Stark to help him rule. Ned and his wife Catelyn govern the north, fiercely loyal to the crown.
The Starks stand for loyalty, integrity, bravery. They are really the moral compass of the show. They're the good guys, and they're the ones that you find yourself rooting for from the start.
The couple have 5 children, 3 sons and 2 daughters, and the decimation of this happy family will reverberate throughout our tale.
They're almost too innocent for that world.
King Robert arrives with his queen, Cersei, and with them is the whole Lannister clan.
That's Jaime Lannister, the Queen's twin brother.
Oh, the Lannisters. They're blonde, they're beautiful, they're arrogant. So fuck them.
And it's really the Lannisters who are going to introduce a lot of trouble into the lives of the Starks from this point.
The arrival of the Lannisters into that world totally sends shockwaves through the whole family.
Bran Stark goes climbing one day, gets to the top of a tower, and discovers the Lannisters' deep, dark secret. The secret is that Cersei, the queen, is actually sleeping with her brother, Jaime.
The Lannisters, oh God! They are... I have never seen a family. I mean, talk about dysfunctional.
Stop! Stop!
It's incest, which even in Westeros is generally frowned upon. It also means that King Robert's children are not actually his children.
It's all right. It's all right.
He saw us!
I heard you the first time.
He knows what it means, too, and he knows that if the incest is discovered, not only will he and his sister be put to death, but their 3 children may very well, too.
And so, for Jaime Lannister, the greatest swordsman in Westeros, there's only one solution.
The things I do for love.
Here's a convenient way. The kid will die, it'll look like he fell, and our kids will be safe.
First in a coma, Bran will later awake with no memory of how he fell or what he saw. The royal secret is safe for now, and only the viewer has seen what the Lannisters will do to keep it.
Everything went pear-shaped after that, and really, that's the whole chain of events starting.
King Robert still wants Ned down in the capital, so this will be the last ever time we see the Stark family all together. A family which includes Ned's son out of wedlock, the bastard Jon Snow. Ned must now leave his family and follow King Robert south, taking his daughters Sansa and Arya with him.
The reason I think that the first season of Game of Thrones works is it's essentially about this good family that just wants to essentially be left alone and serve their king and their country. This good family is ripped apart and thrown into situations that they never anticipated.
They are bound for the capital, King's Landing, where Ned's new task will be to protect King Robert from those who would unseat him. And in Season 1, viewers learn the greatest enemies live in exile overseas, the Targaryens.
They were dethroned by King Robert in the last war. The only surviving members of the family are a brother and sister called Viserys and Daenerys.
The siblings are the children of the Mad King, who was killed in war. Viserys dominates his younger sister.
Viserys has more than a touch of the Targaryen madness, and you know, sometimes he's protecting her, but he's also trying to treat her as a bargaining chip.
Come forward, my dear.
In search of an army, Viserys makes a pact with a savage tribe, the Dothraki, offering his beautiful young sister in marriage to their leader, Khal Drogo.
She's the only bargaining chip he has. He doesn't have any wealth anymore. He doesn't have any armies, but he has her, who he can trade to this horse lord.
I would let his whole tribe fuck you. All 40,000 men and their horses too, if that's what it took.
He's power hungry, but to a nasty degree. Doesn't really care how or by what means. He just wants to be important and looked up to.
But his plans backfire. Daenerys and Khal Drogo fall in love and become quite the power couple.
Suddenly she finds herself with Khal Drogo empowered. People are obeying her.
Tell him I want what was bargained for, or I'm taking you back.
He just completely underestimates not only Dany, but Khal Drogo.
What's he saying?
He says yes. You shall have a golden crown.
It's a real coming-of-age story throughout the first season. She really grows into herself.
Look away, Khaleesi.
No.
This is one of the turning points for Daenerys. I think this is when you realize that she's prepared to sacrifice anything for the greater good.
A crown for king.
He was revolting. He was utterly, utterly revolting. And that was the moment that she escaped from her shell, when she became the woman and not the kowtowed girl.
And as the Targaryens grow in power, we learn that King Robert faces another challenge to his northernmost borders. Threats which led past rulers to build this giant wall of ice to keep out wild things beyond. It's protected by the legendary Night's Watch.
The Night's Watch are a small army who guard the northern border of the country. In Season 1, there's lots of fighting for the throne, but actually in the background, there are these creatures appearing north of the wall that nobody has seen for thousands of years. And no one quite wants to believe that they're there, but they certainly are.
We hear the characters saying that this is all folklore, that this is all made up. But for the viewer, we see that basically these characters do exist. They are there. I think the White Walkers are really terrifying, mostly because you're not 100% sure you know what they're capable of doing or what their motives are.
They are a serious threat.
In Season 1, in search of a purpose, Jon Snow ventures to the Wall and joins the Night's Watch, a leader in the making.
Jon Snow's everybody's hero. Jon Snow's one of my favourite characters. He's the dude.
He's also in search of answers.
The question of Jon Snow's parentage has been one of the burning topics amongst not only the show fans, the book fans, for many decades.
Jon Snow is Ned Stark's bastard son. He brought him back from a war, and we never really learn who the mother is. Understandably, Catelyn, Ned's wife, isn't too fond of Jon for that reason.
Try as she may, she could never make peace with the fact that Ned was unfaithful.
But down in the capital, King's Landing, Ned Stark has a much greater challenge to face. His daughter has fallen for Prince Joffrey.
She's presented with marrying the future king, live in a beautiful castle, go to banquets, have beautiful dresses to wear, a fairy tale story.
Ned has discovered the Queen and her brother are lovers, and this will be his family's undoing.
When the king returns from his hunt, I'll tell him the truth. You must be gone by then. You and your children. I will not have their blood on my hands.
But before he gets a chance to talk to King Robert gets himself killed on a hunting trip.
Joffrey is now king, and without Robert to protect him, Ned is tried for treason. He confesses, believing it will save his daughter, but misjudges the new ruler.
He's just been stuck up in the north too long and has no idea how the real world operates, how to really deal with the the politics of Westeros.
Bring me his head.
That's when you realize nobody is safe in this world at all.
When I saw Sean being pushed down, that was the only scene that really has brought a tear to my eye.
It's cruel, it's heartbreaking, but there's a point to the children witnessing this. If they want to survive, they have to start to be resilient. They have to learn from this.
It was at that moment you realised what Game of Thrones was really about.
It's here that the Stark family splinters. Arya is whisked away by a Night's Watch brother loyal to Ned, leaving Sansa at the mercy of Joffrey.
Robb Stark reacts with murderous rage to the news that his father has been beheaded.
Robb is the heir, and he's not only picking up his father's mantle as Lord of Winterfell, but he's picking up a much older mantle, the crown that no one has worn for 300 years, the Kingdom of the North.
It will lead to all-out war between the Starks and the Lannisters, who are led by its patriarch, Tywin Lannister.
Tywin Lannister is one of the great warriors and battle strategists of the age.
As well as his twins, Cersei and Jaime, he has a son he despises, Tyrion, known as the Imp.
You're wounded.
Good of you to notice.
Tyrion, obviously, is just brilliant.
I hear we won.
Stereotypes of what a hero should be or should look like in Game of Thrones are just completely blown out the window because you've got Tyrion who, you know, doesn't look like your archetypal hero, but he is.
As war rages in Westeros, over the Narrow Sea, Daenerys loses a husband but gains astonishing new powers. She walks into Khal Drogo's funeral pyre with fossilized dragon's eggs.
Ugh, what an epic scene.
Season 1 ends with the sight of Daenerys emerging from a fire unscathed with her dragons hatched.
These creatures are extraordinary creatures, the likes of which have not been seen in hundreds of years.
Blood of my blood.
You see these three dragons around her and you're just like, okay, they're gonna be awesome when they're grown.
The innocence is gone. She's it. And she's the Force now.
As the dragons are born, she comes more and more to her own until the power becomes innate to her.
It's about a new era. The whole first season is essentially the old era dying out and the new era beginning. And by the end, she has a sense that she knows that she's bound for greatness.
And after the break, watch those dragons grow in Season 2. Welcome back to Game of Thrones, the story so far, where Season 2 marks a new reign of tyranny in the capital, King's Landing. Joffrey is brutalizing his subjects, as well as his bride-to-be, Sansa Stark.
You can't! What did you say?
Sansa has learned some painful lessons along the way. The chivalrous knights and gallant princes that she dreamed of. She got a gallant prince, and he turned out to be Joffrey.
Killing you would send your brother a message.
She's a prisoner in the worst place imaginable, enduring all kinds of psychological and sometimes physical abuse from these captors.
Leave her face. I like her pretty.
He's a bully, and we don't like bullies.
I had a disgusting lie about Uncle Jamie. And you?
He's the product of a brother and sister shagging. So, like, you know, this might be why he isn't all there mentally.
Cersei's smart enough to realize that Joffrey is perhaps not what she might have hoped for. And he's getting out of her control now, and he's a danger, in part, even to her and even to other members of the family.
What you just did is punishable by death.
Joffrey's enemies are everywhere. Chief amongst them, and just across the bay at Dragonstone, is Stannis, brother of the late King Robert, who believes the throne should be his. Stannis has learnt that Robert's children are Lannister bastards, which means that it is Stannis who is next in line.
So Stannis Baratheon, who knows that King Joffrey is a product of incest, decides to send ravens out to all the corners of the Seven Kingdoms, letting them know the Lannister secret.
In order to claim the throne, Stannis enlists the Red Priestess Melisandre, who is on her own mission to find the right ruler for Westeros.
She believes Stannis is the savior of the worlds, basically. He's supposed to be on the Iron Throne. And her magical powers have no limits, I think. There's so much that we don't know that she can do.
However, Stannis isn't the only one after the throne. His younger brother Renly also believes he has a claim, and so war is inevitable.
The Iron Throne is mine, by right. All those that deny that are my foes.
The whole realm denies it from Dawn to the Wall.
They both think they should be king, but I'm on Stannis' side, so screw Renly.
Rather than fight it out on the battlefield, Stannis finds another way to kill his brother, because family ties don't mean an awful lot in Westeros.
The powerful sorcery of the Red Priestess is revealed when she gives birth to a sinister weapon.
The Shadow Baby is basically just a way to kill Renly, and it comes out of me in a great way.
I think Melisandre, she's always lived by this religion. If she's got something to do, she's going to do it, and she's not going to let other people stand in her way.
What I think is brilliant about Game of Thrones is it lives in a fantasy world. It's a completely realistic depiction of how power works, what power does to people, what people do to get power, and what happens when they fall short, when they miss the mark. And that's why it's so brilliant.
When Renly is murdered, it leaves behind his widow, Marjorie Tyrell, who belongs to the Tyrell family, who are very rich and powerful in their own right.
Calling yourself king doesn't make you one. And if Renly wasn't a king, I wasn't a queen.
Marjorie is an absolute piece of work. You know, she wants power.
Do you want to be a queen?
No. I want to be the queen.
Across the Narrow Sea, Daenerys Targaryen is learning valuable lessons in her quest to return to Westeros and seize the throne.
She is desperate to be a good ruler, that she can, go to bed at night saying, I think I'm doing things the right way.
As Daenerys' power grows, so do her dragons. But as news of their existence spreads, they become highly sought after.
When she's in Qarth, everybody just kind of thinks, like, who are you? We'll just take your dragons. We'll take your dragons and you're not powerful anymore.
Dracarys.
People have underestimated her the whole way.
And it is in Season 2 that we finally see the dragons kill for Daenerys. As Daenerys gets stronger in exile, Jon Snow and the Night's Watch are on a mission beyond the Wall, where the true scale of the threat to the kingdom is revealed.
Blow the horn. When will he come?
The army of the dead is on its way, and it's going to kick off sooner or later, and really, they've got to get out of there as fast as they possibly can.
One blast for friends. Two for foes. And three for White Walkers.
The threat of winter coming is very much a myth to the people of the South. They're not really taking it seriously. They don't know about the undead and all the horrors that are coming towards them.
Three blasts.
So what we learn in Season 2 is that the White Walkers are very much real.
They're nothing like we've ever seen before in television. They're not just zombies, they're not just statues, they're walking ice cubes, basically. They're really bad and they're really scary. And it's literally, I think it's going to be a fight of ice and fire.
We have all these kingdoms wanting to fight for the throne, and they think that that is what ultimately the battle is about. But really, at the end of the day, they're not looking at what's the real problem here, and it's the White Walkers.
And And it's in Season 2 in King's Landing where we see that Tyrion may just be an asset to the war, when Stannis launches an attack on the city.
I'll lead the attack! Battle of Blackwater was his moment. He was the best person to speak to the people of King's Landing and to get them to protect their city. Because he knows what it's like to fight. He knows what it's like to have your back up against the wall.
There's our brave men knocking at our door. Let's go kill them!
Tyrion manages to get the troops fired up by giving a good speech, and then heads out with them to fight Stannis on the bay. He doesn't last very long. He gets knocked out after a couple of minutes.
Tyrion is upstaged by his father, Tywin, who arrives with his own massive army, bolstered by the Tyrells, who've now firmly joined the cause.
It's that moment where you really see where power lies. It's not in the king. It's in the person behind the king.
The battle is over. We have won.
And so Season 2 ends with the Lannisters victorious. After the break, Season 3 brings more terrible losses for the Starks when they attend a cataclysmic wedding. Welcome back to the story so far, where, as Season 3 begins, Daenerys has set sail on a mission. She and her dragons may have grown in power and stature, but securing an army still eludes her, so she ventures to a place where she can buy one.
She knows she needs an army, a powerful army, if she ever wants to reclaim the Westerosi throne. And the best bet for that are the Unsullied.
I have dragons. I'll give you one.
She appears to want to trade the dragon for slaves. She seems to have made this daft agreement to give away, her best dragon. She hands over the dragon. Next thing you know, once she's got control of the Unsullied, then it's very easy to say to the dragon, who still will listen to her and not to him, burn him.
Dracarys.
Because you would take power if you have the force of a dragon. They're pretty impressive creatures.
She's been the mother of dragons, and you knew she was destined for greatness, but now she really is a queen with an army.
To then see that she has thousands of people on her team, and then you get, like, this swoop past. She's got these, like, fire-breathing, mythical creatures that are just gonna tear shit up.
As this young Targaryen gains followers, in King's Landing, a young Tyrell is gaining influence. Marjorie has replaced Sansa in Joffrey's affections, a reward for her family's military support at Blackwater.
I imagine it must be so exciting to squeeze your finger here and watch something die over there.
Marjorie is a woman who's on top of her game. She's controlling where she's going. She's a proper feminist icon.
But the Tyrells' ambitions are not going down well with Cersei Lannister.
Olenna is the matriarch of the family, and she advises her granddaughter on how best to play the political game so that she might take power in King's Landing.
To make matters worse, her soulmate Jaime is a prisoner of war. He is held first by Brienne of Tarth, then both are captured by a northern faction.
Looks like your woman's getting the better of you.
This is all bundled up in when Jaime begins to start thinking about other people.
You're only making it worse.
His efforts to stop Brienne being raped are the beginning of that.
You know who she is, don't you?
It's good when those little bits of goodness come in those characters that are so devilish as well. Just to give you a little light in there.
Lord Selwyn would pay his daughter's weight in sapphires if she's returned to him.
I mean, of course, it being Game of Thrones, it doesn't get him anywhere. Another one of those Game of Thrones moments, which has so much more going on in it than just him losing his hand. He's the greatest swordsman in Westeros, we're told, so he can't do that anymore.
He's now made a good friend in her, and he's seen a lot of things, and I'm sure he's questioning what being a Lannister is about as well.
Yet without his hand, we see Jaime Lannister at his most heroic. The heartless knight who pushed Bran Stark from the tower finds new honor in Season 3.
He's left her behind, he's abandoned her, and he's on his way to King's Landing, and then his captors mention that what's going to happen to her. And then he decides to return and save her.
And it is in season 3 that we witness the fearsome work of another powerful family, the Boltons, who are scheming to take control of the North.
I think the Boltons want pretty much what everyone else seems to want, is power and status.
Kill me! You're no good to me, dead. We need you.
Ramsay, a bastard son of the family, enjoys torturing his enemies, including Theon Greyjoy, who he took prisoner when sacking Winterfell after Ned's demise.
Historically, the Boltons have always been just under the Starks. Kind of the Starks have always been on top of them, so I think they feel that now is their time to rise.
You don't look like a Theon Greyjoy anymore.
It's unbelievable what Ramsay's capable of doing to people.
Freak.
He's just all about the mind. He's all about making you doubt yourself. He's all about getting in there and making you insecure and making you feel like you can't go up against him.
Another hostage at large in season 3 is Arya Stark, kidnapped by the Hound. The disgraced knight plans to find Arya's family and trade her for cash.
Remember what happens to children who run.
One of the great double acts of Game of Thrones is the Hound and Arya.
Don't kill him!
There's something so perversely magical about that pairing, sort of warped mentor-protege relationship that develops.
In his desire to claim a ransom, the Hound heads for the Twins, where he knows that Arya's mother and brother, Catelyn and Robb Stark, are attending a wedding. The Twins is a strategic river crossing controlled by the Frey family, and the Starks need them on side for their war effort.
Walder Frey is a very bitter, nasty old man who controls a small but significant area in the kingdom.
I was pledged to marry one of you, and I broke that vow.
If he's been let down by Robb Stark after this promise, if he shows any kind of forgiveness or just let it go, we didn't want to marry my daughter, he's married someone else, he would lose face in that world. It's a vicious world he's operating in.
The Stark family offer Robb's uncle to make amends and are here for that wedding. A terrible mistake.
Catelyn, in her heart, knew that you do not break a promise if you are the King of the North, and also you certainly don't break it to Walder Frey.
Your Grace.
He's probably laid awake for nights just planning it and timing it and working out just how it's going to work out.
The moment where Cat sees that Roose Bolton is wearing chainmail is a powerful moment.
Why would you wear chainmail to your wedding? And what is the purpose of chainmail? It's to prevent you getting killed.
Even though I'd read the scripts, the Red Wedding still completely was shocking, and I was still screaming at the TV, don't do it, no, don't. You just don't want it to happen.
The Red Wedding is the event that pretty much decimates an entire generation of the Stark family.
Within the Game of Thrones, Walder Frey's not playing the Game of Thrones. He's not attempting to be the king. He's actually perfectly happy with what he's got. He has his own little fiefdom, and it was all sitting in the chair and watching terrible things.
He's a rotter, isn't he? He's absolutely rotten. Grim.
The Lannisters send their regards.
It is an ambush backed by Tywin Lannister.
Robb is such an amazing character. I think you kind of want him to be the king and to win.
It's the cruelty of it, and it's the relishing of it.
Everything goes to hell in the Red Wedding.
Arya Stark arrives at the Twins to witness her brother's desecrated body and loses any last shred of innocence.
She's there at the Red Wedding, she's outside. And she was so close. You know, she was so close to seeing them again. She was so close.
The path that she goes on, she learns to become stronger and fight. And also, she's after revenge.
And when she comes across her family's killers later,
Oh, shit.
she matches their brutality.
She's had to go over to the dark side. That's what makes her interesting.
In order to survive in that world, you've got to match what is given you.
And so, by the end of season 3, all the elder Starks have gone from the Game of Thrones. Only the children remain, orphaned and scattered across Westeros, including Bran Stark, still paralysed from his fall. He's fled Winterfell with a loyal band of followers heading north.
So Hodor we know as a very loyal character.
It's all right, Hodor.
He lost the use of his legs, and Hodor's the person that carries him around and takes him everywhere, being the big giant of a man that he is.
It's all right. The walls will protect him.
Him and his brother Rickon are the two last male heirs to the Stark household. And yeah, it's fast depleting. We're running out of Starks.
Bran Stark is very much on his own journey to discover the root of this ancient magic that's reappearing in the kingdom throughout the seasons.
And yet, amid this loss comes a small victory. Unlikely hero Samwell Tarly stumbles on a weakness of the White Walkers. Samwell reaches for all he has to hand, an old dragon glass spear he once found in the ground.
To his astonishment, it works. The spells are shattered and it's melting before him.
And stay with us to see Wedded Bliss vanish after the break.
He's choking!